Welcome back to Gilligan Phantom. In this video, I'm finally going to tell you how much I spent on this bus. Oh my God, it was a lot of money. But first I need to preface this by showing you exactly where we are so that I can explain to you why this was 100% worth spending all the money that we spent. Let's go outside. So right now we have our bus parked in Big Sur, California, overlooking a beautiful spot on the Pacific Ocean. The reason that that is incredible is because if you wanted to have a home anywhere near here, you probably need at least $2 million. $2 million is not a sum of money that I ever expect to spend on any kind of housing anytime in my whole life. It's simply not in the cards for me. With this bus, I get to have my primary and my secondary home right on the Pacific Ocean, where after I'm finished telling you how much we spent on the bus, I'm gonna go surf, which is one of my favorite activities. And when I'm done, I'm gonna come take a hot shower in my house. But that's not all. Hold on one second. I'm getting a little hyped, sorry. Okay, so you might be thinking to yourself, all right, so what? I could have a car and drive here, or I could live in a van and do that too. But the thing for me is I've got a family. I want them to be comfortable, and I want to be able to have this experience while they're also happy. So check out what's happening right now. While I'm making this video and when I surf, we're chilling. You know, my family's over here watching movies, overlooking this beautiful spot. So basically what I'm saying is that for me, every dollar and every hour I spent on this bus was 100% worth it. This is an experience that only some of the richest people can have. A beachside home where they can go pursue their favorite activities and then come home and relax. And you can do this for much cheaper. You don't have to spend as much as we did. At the end, I'm going to tell you about how there's cheaper ways to do it. All right, so just a few things to know before we get started. I thought I had a really great accounting method. I used mint.com to track all of my expenses. But partway through, I accidentally deleted a credit card from that information and I wasn't able to get it back. But with like 95% certainty, this is what we spent on the bus. Each category is an estimate because of that. I didn't track exactly how much it cost in each of the categories that are coming up, but they're going to be very close. The final number really is what we spent on the bus. When people say, and this is the question I probably get the most, how much did it cost to build your schoolie to the standard that you did it in? I think what they're asking is, what's the financial impact going to be on my life? I think that a lot of schoolie build cost summaries sort of fall short of telling that whole picture because they just say what the material cost is, what the price of the bus is, but they don't talk about other things like holding costs, storage, tools, random things that might be totally different for you and your build that are going to add up to a lot of money. So I'm telling you in these numbers what the actual financial impact was on us, not so much what it will be on you, because your situation is going to be slightly different. Maybe you have all the tools, maybe you have to pay for parking, maybe you don't.
Show me the money.
So for us, we have what the bus costs. The bus cost is just part of the acquisition cost of the bus. You got to buy it, but then you also have to drive it home. You've got fuel costs, you might have to do an oil change. Maybe you have to pay somebody to drive it for you because you don't feel great about it. So for us, the acquisition of the bus, it was $7 grand for the bus, about $1,000 for me and Andrew to fly out there from Philadelphia and South Carolina to LA and then drive it home. And then we also spent $1,000 in fuel to drive him about 2,600 miles. So $9,000 is the total acquisition cost for Gilligan Phantom. Now you're ready to start doing demolition. You're going to pull out the seats, you're going to be pulling off wall panels. For this, all you need is tools, really. Demolition, tools, blades, all that stuff costs about $200. Now at this point, if this is as far as you get in your bus conversion and you realize that this is not something that you should continue, it's like taking up all of your time, you feel super unequipped to handle it financially and physically, your family's unhappy, this is the time when you should exit. Because all you've done is bought the bus and paid for the demolition tools and did some of the work. The bus is basically still worth what you bought it for at this point. Maybe even a little bit more because you can say, hey, look, I already did the demolition, and if you don't mess anything up, then the bus is good to go. Now is the time to sell and exit. If you go on from this point, you need to fully commit to finishing this whole thing, because otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of sunk costs and you're not going to be able to sell the bus and get your money back. The decisions that you make on your bus devalue it for other people, just so you know. All right, so next up we have subfloor and furring strips. That meant foam board insulation, and adhesive, it meant plywood, screws. The total cost for that was $1,000. From there, we replaced our school bus hatches with marine hatches. We spent a long time looking for the perfect, least expensive hatches that we could find for the bus. These can range anywhere in price from like $200 at the low end to $700 each at the high end. I don't think you should spend that much money on marine hatches. For us, it was a splurge. It was a luxury. We wanted to have a skylight and roof access, so we spent $700 on the marine hatches and the roof sealant and the screws and hardware. We took off every single window. We cleaned off the old adhesive and we spray painted some Rust-Oleum and some spray paint back onto the bare metal of the bus. We used the butyl tape to seal the windows back up. Total cost for window replacement was $200. Then we bought a 5-gallon bucket of Henry's Tropicool. We could have done with less. I think 2 gallons would have been enough. But after the Tropicool, the paint rollers and paint brushes, which will be thrown away, you cannot clean the Tropicool off them. It's impossible. We spent $350. That's a place that I think you could save some money. I don't think you have to get Henry's Tropicool if you're on a budget. At that point, we started installing roof racks. We went with these Iron Ridge roof racks. They cost $550 for the roof racks and all of the hardware. So one of the cool things is that when we got those roof racks, the solar supplier had 11 solar panels that they were just throwing away. And they said, hey, if you want to put these in your van, they're all yours. So they gave me 11 solar panels for free, and that's something that we lucked out on. But you might not end up getting solar panels for free, so I'm including them in the cost, and we got 2,430 watts, and that would cost approximately $2,000. If you can find used panels, you can get them cheaper. We put a mini split air conditioner on the back of the bus. That was a great decision, going with the mini split. We spent about $1,000 on the mini split, and then another $300 on the racks and hardware to install it, and also to pay for an HVAC technician to make the final connections and pull a vacuum and put the refrigerant in there. So the one that I bought is not sold anymore. So I'm gonna put a link to my current favorite in the description below if you need help deciding on what mini split to buy. All right, I'm gonna speed this up for you guys so you don't have to spend all day hearing me talk. Spray foam, $1,800. Rough wiring, we got all of the marine wires. You can go cheaper with cheaper wires, but I like the marine stuff. Outlets, all the connections, that was $1,000. Covering all of the walls, the ceiling, the trim in birch plywood. You can definitely get cheaper plywood. This is another place that we spent some money. Birch is expensive. We spent about $1,500 covering all of everything in birch plywood. From there we built all the interior walls, like well actually it was just the bathroom, but we also had the plywood walls to do the refrigerator cabinet, the closets, the pantry with the electrical cabinet in it. All of that plywood cost another $1,000. The plywood's really gonna add up, guys. Just buy a cheaper plywood. So that plywood I had a problem with. Even though it was so expensive, it still wasn't top of the line. It was made in Vietnam. I could tell that it had a lot of formaldehyde, that it was still off-gassing. It really like stunk up my car, and I was worried about that formaldehyde off-gassing because we're gonna be in some hot locations. So I bought a $500, first of all, I let it bake basically in the bus for the whole month of August 2018. Baking it gets rid of the majority of the formaldehyde. Super expensive, no VOC, formaldehyde, sealer, and finish. Was $500. Kitchen cabinets, they were from IKEA. That was a really good choice because they were very easy to build and install. Kitchen cabinets and other miscellaneous items like the clock, the bar, and lots of other kitchen items added up to $3,500. Then we went with quartz countertops. These would normally cost more. I'm not sure how much they would cost, but we had a friend who hooked us up basically at cost with these countertops. We spent $600 in them. I think they were a great choice. They're heavy, but they're super beautiful and durable, so we're happy with them. Tile backsplash, $200. Nova's bedroom, which is basically just more plywood, another $200. The couches, what's up? Nova's turning into a rascal lately. For the couches, we decided to go with a basic, cheap, easy base and then have the cushions be the couch. The cushions really form the couch. So that kind of made the couches a little bit more expensive. We're paying for the labor for other people to do all those things. The cushions, the mattresses, the slip covers, plus the plywood bases for the 2 couches, which are both like 7 or 8 feet long, was $1,500. We're very happy with these couch cushions. You can still get them on Amazon. Links are below. We went with an AC apartment size refrigerator, induction cooktop by Summit, and some other miscellaneous items. We spent about $1,000 on appliances. I think this is where we kind of saved some money because some people buy 3-way RV fridges. Those are like 700 bucks or more. Some people buy DC refrigerators. Those are expensive too. 1,000 bucks. That's what we spent. Okay, lighting. The strips up top, task lighting. We've got some really pretty light fixtures by Urban Electric Co. Those are actually remarkably expensive. We got them for free from a friend who worked there. But if you were going to outfit your bus with similar lighting, it would cost $300. Your rough plumbing, your finished plumbing, we did the shark bite fittings. They were a little bit more expensive, but I'm very happy with them. We spent about 1,000 bucks on plumbing. I think plumbing your house for 1,000 bucks, that's pretty good. Yes, dear? Oh. We bought these 200-gallon freshwater tanks, which were a pretty good price. Tanks and fittings together cost $600. Okay, next up we have the Kurdish Schluter shower system, which we use to make our cute little shower. The system, the mortar, the tile, the shower head, the mixer, all that plumbing pretty much came out to about $1,500. Pretty happy with the price of that shower. You could of course go a lot cheaper if you didn't want to do tile. Composting toilet, I think these retail for $1,000. We got ours open box for $700. Would I spend $1,000 on a composting toilet if I were to do it again? I don't know. I think I'd probably build my own. It's really not complicated what the composting toilet does. We're happy with it, but I would save some money if I could do it again. Painting the floor, that was cheap. That was easy. Really happy we did that. Yeah, it scuffs. It's like impossible to really keep clean, but the general visual impression is really pretty. We only spent $100 on some no VOC floor paint and materials and primer. So we kind of splurged on the blinds. We wanted a specific aesthetic and we paid for it. We spent between all these blinds and the blackout ones and the ones at the front of the bus and the ones in the very back of the bus, we spent $1,000 on blinds. Could definitely go cheaper there. This is the most expensive item on the whole bus by a long shot, and that is our lithium battery bank. We got these Lion Energy 105 amp hour 12-volt batteries. I'm extremely happy with them. They're a perfect size, they're perfectly lightweight. They cost $850 each when they are on sale for Black Friday. So we bought 6 of them, which comes out to $5,100. Luckily for us, it's tax-free and no shipping. I think it's tax-free in a lot of states. I'm coming out soon with a video about these batteries. I'm gonna do an unboxing and a full review, but I'm really delighted with how they've turned out. We have had power almost whenever we needed it with our solar and battery combo. I think we've plugged in maybe 5 times in 4.5 months, which I think is super cool. So the cool thing is I've got an affiliate relationship with Lion Energy now. You can get them in my link right down below anytime you want for the same price as their Black Friday price. $850, which is $150 off of the $1,000 retail. And then they even send me a commission. So buying them from my link helps support this channel, and I really appreciate it if that's something that you choose to do. All right, so there's a lot more things in my electrical cabinet. There's the inverter, there's the fuse blocks, there's the charge controller. I also outsourced some of this decision making to a bus builder named Charlie Kearns, Instagram @LookAtThatBus. He was really helpful, and I do think that paying for a little bit of expert help is worth it. I didn't do it a lot, but when I did it, it really got me unstuck. And so the price of that is built into this estimate. Also, we've got the cabling, we've got the fuses for the batteries. Everything else in the electrical closet adds up to another $4,500. It's really expensive, I know, but it's money well spent. It really is. Okay, so from there we have miscellaneous items that we bought for the bus that you'll probably end up buying too. So they're still part of the expenses for you. We've got a bunch of pillows, we've got blankets, we've got mattresses, things that are purposefully designed specifically for this bus. That all adds up to approximately $1,000. Oh yeah, fans. It's a lot of stuff in there, 1,000 bucks. Now we have miscellaneous materials that I just haven't thought of or haven't mentioned. You're gonna have basically a bucket of like things that you didn't really ever consider. So we have $500 in there. I also paid for some labor. I paid for Jeff to help me do the ceilings. That cost me another 500 bucks. It was worth it because I really needed him for a day. And he's a carpenter, so he's kind of expensive. Now you're gonna have stupid mistakes. We made mistakes, you're gonna make mistakes. We bought some extra wire that we never used or needed. We bought some water tanks that ended up being not right at all for us. Too much of this material, not enough, but then too much of that material. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna have surplus. It happens in every build. It happens in construction, it happens all the time. $1,000 for stupid mistakes. Then we got the bus ready to get on the road. We did like a thorough safety inspection. We did a coolant flush. We did an oil change. You need 16 gallons of coolant. You need 6 gallons of oil. These are all expensive things. We did filters. We did belts. We could have done more, but I said, let's do the bare minimum. Let's see if we can get around the country with what we did. And I'm really happy that we did that because so far we're doing great. Knock on wood. Getting the bus ready to go, $1,500. All right, now unfortunately, we bought this bus with tires with great tread, but they were from 2008. And DOT says that you can only use tires safely for 10 years. When we drove the bus home in 2017, they were still safe. But when we hit the road in 2020, they were now 2 years old, and they'd been sitting in the same spot more or less for 2 to 3 years. We replaced all of our tires. We went with a really high-end Firestone tire. You can do a bit cheaper. I would recommend that you buy cheaper tires. Get yourself some cheap Chinese tires, get somebody to install them safely, and save a bit of money. We spent a bit too much, but we spent $3,600 on tires. Tools. We had some of the tools. I don't know what tools you have. We had to buy some tools. Total cost for purchasing tools to do a bus build for us with what we used was $2,000. In retrospect, I could have probably done it with a little bit less. At the same time, having like a $5,000 table saw would have been amazing too. So what are you gonna do? Tools. There's more here. You've got holding costs. Maybe you have to pay to park it. Maybe you have to pay for insurance to keep it legal, registration, all of that. For us, we have to keep our vehicles insured in Charleston, South Carolina. The cool thing is you get to have whatever vehicle you want on your land. So that's really cool. But we kept it insured for most of the time that it was parked there, which means that we spent $1,500 on insurance over 2 years. That's kind of silly, but it's something that we sort of had to do. You're gonna have to do other things. Don't forget about that. Okay, so the total amount of money, just added it up, out of our bank accounts and into this bus was $54,500. But that's really not it. It's not the whole picture, guys. What about the impact on your life it's going to have? And what about your time, which is worth something? It really is, it's worth something. So I spent approximately, probably way more than 1,000 hours on this bus. Some of that was actually physical labor. Some of that was research. Actually, if you added in the research, it's probably 2,000 hours. Some of that was like putzing around, trying to figure out what I was doing. 1,000 hours of good hard labor went into this bus. And because I'm inexperienced, for the most part, unlicensed, uninsured, I don't have a storage facility, I don't have expensive tools, I think that I'm worth, at a maximum, so that's what I'm putting here, $25 an hour. When you add that into the cost, that's $25,000 worth of labor. Now we are at $79,500. But wait, there's one more person we need to consider. Nate gave me some of his time to help me with the bus, and even though he was 13, 14, I think that his time is worth some money. And if you have to pay a helper to get you some help as well, let's give Nate 50 hours, $10 an hour for Nate. Like, he was a good helper. That's another $500. That brings us to a grand total of $80,000 for the bus. Wow, that's a lot of money. 80,000 bucks. Okay, remember how I told you that I'm gonna go surf in the Pacific? That's what I'm gonna do in a minute. And it was super duper worth it, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. But let me tell you before I go, some things that you can do cheaper. If you don't have 55 grand, 35 grand, or even 25 grand, and a bunch of time, don't take on a school bus conversion. Don't do it, because it's going to have a negative impact in your life, especially if you don't finish. I was, for the most part, financially equipped to handle this. We had some issues that came up during the build, and we also had some windfalls, and there's some hustles that I was working on that paid off at the right time, but it's not gonna be everybody. So if you're not in a position like I was, go buy yourself a 10 to 15-year-old Class A RV with a nice diesel engine and a nice layout. Hold on, let me see what you can get. Okay, so look, if you have a family and you need to sleep a bunch of people in your bus, or like even just more than 2 people like us, and you want this kind of a lifestyle, get this 34-foot Class A RV for 22 grand from a dealer. Figure out if you like this lifestyle or not, and then from there decide if building a schoolie is right for you. Or buy a school bus, build it out however you can with what you have, and then upgrade it later. You can definitely kind of take stepping stones into this lifestyle instead of going all in like we did. I just want to tell you that because it's a lot of money and not everybody has it. I'm all suited up, gonna go surf. Yeah. Alright, just got back from an awesome surf. Man, the Pacific is so amazing. Now I'm gonna jump in a hot shower. This is the life, guys. This is the life. I'm recording. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more videos about living in or building mobile dwellings, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we will see you next time. Alright, I'm out. Peace.